Hei, alle norskstudentene mine! Hi, all my Norwegian students! Welcome to lesson number 5. Now, this lesson, I will be starting, as always, answering some questions. Now, one of the questions I've been getting most, and it's a great question, I love that you guys are asking this question, it's how to pronounce the letter R in Norwegian. Now, I have to say that this is definitely like a very typical thing that Norwegians will kind of make fun of Americans for when they're trying to speak Norwegian, is that they can't really seem to get rid of that American R. It kind of sits back in the throat there. So I guess a lot of you can tell that you're not really doing it right, and it's not your fault. You kind of have that very ingrained in the way that you speak for most Americans, but I will do my best to try and help you get rid of it. My best advice to try and make the Norwegian R sound is to start with the word add in English and then try to change the D to an R sound so it becomes add. You have the tip of your tongue on the roof of the mouth, just where you make the D and add, but then you just kind of change the D to an R. Add, 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 add. So it's kind of rolled, a slight roll, though not like a full-on like in some other languages. And that's how we say R in Oslo, where I'm from, or where the dialect that I speak. However, again, there are so many different dialects in Norwegian and so many different ways to say it. And that, my little students, is why I've decided to take you on a little field trip to meet my beautiful friend Solveig. The G is silent. Now, Solveig is not from Oslo, so she speaks a bit differently than me. Why don't you tell us where you're from, Solveig?
I'm from an island called Stord, which is situated right between the two largest cities on the west coast, Bergen and Stavanger.
Now, I've just been teaching my students how to say the letter R in Norwegian. So in Oslo, where I come from, we say R. Will you please demonstrate for us how you would say it in the area where you come from?
R.
One more time.
R.
Yeah, so as you can hear, it's quite back in the throat in comparison to my R. And if you want to try to say this R, the tongue should be kind of more on the base of the mouth, on the bottom of the mouth, right behind the teeth, as opposed to my R, which I said earlier, where the tongue is on the roof of the mouth. So this is what we call in Norwegian skarre.
Yeah, and this skarre actually used to be quite of a status symbol in the old days, like in the middle of last century. And rich people, they actually hired nannies from the area where I'm from to teach their children how to make the skarre R.
Yeah. So will you demonstrate one last time for us?
R.
Ah, good luck with that one. So is there anything else you can tell us about your dialect in comparison to how we speak in Oslo?
Well, my dialect is more close to the written language called nynorsk. And your dialect is more close to the written language called bokmål.
You know, we've actually been having a bit of debate on my channel of bokmål versus nynorsk. So Solveig is a bit of an academic, so maybe you can help us, Solveig, and end the debate once and for all. Can you tell us what are bokmål and nynorsk?
Bokmål and nynorsk are two written languages. You don't speak bokmål or nynorsk. But you speak dialects, which are like similar to bokmål and similar to nynorsk.
Right. And where do bokmål and nynorsk come from?
Well, bokmål comes from, or it's based on Danish, because Norway used to be under Danish rule for many centuries, and we adopted the Danish language. And in the 19th century, in the National Romanticism, this poet called Ivar Aasen, he traveled around Norway to collect words from all dialects and make this authentic Norwegian written language, because we didn't have that in Norway at the time. Yeah.
Great. So now we know once and for all the whole debate going on, guys. It's written bokmål and nynorsk, and dialects are very close to bokmål or nynorsk, but it's not something that you speak, it's a way that you write. So everybody writes in Norwegian either bokmål or nynorsk, and you speak whatever your dialect is, which is not necessarily exactly the same as bokmål or nynorsk, though a lot of them are very similar. Before we leave, I would also like to demonstrate for you guys a few words and how I would say them versus how Solveig would say them. So for example, we have the word jeg, the word for I. I would say jeg. Solveig says
Jeg.
And the word for not, I would say ikke. Solveig says
Ikke.
Also for where, I would say hvor. Solveig says
Hvor.
For who, I would say hvem. Solveig says.
Kim.
As you can hear, it's kind of different. Now we're going to say a sentence, and I'm going to say it how I would say it, and Solveig is going to say it how she would say it. I would say, jeg har ikke klokke på meg. It means I'm not wearing a watch. Jeg har ikke klokke på meg.
Jeg har ikke klokka på meg.
Right, so as you can see, it's similar, but it's different. Now back to class.
Since it's been a while since our last lesson, I decided that I would try to help you guys quickly increase your Norwegian vocabulary with as little effort as possible. So this lesson is going to be filled with a bunch of words that are almost exactly the same in Norwegian as they are in English. However, the one part about this which will be slightly difficult is that you have to remember for the nouns if it's an N word or an et word. Now, I would really suggest that you not just skip over that part, although it's really easy. You'll be doing what we in Norwegian call bjørnetjeneste. Bjørnetjeneste, that's like it seems like you're doing somebody a favor, but it's not really. You're kind of hurting them in the long run. Because if you want to actually use these words in a sentence, you're going to have to know whether it takes the N or the et article. And that's really hard to kind of go back and learn. So I would suggest that you just learn it when you're learning it the first time. All right, so let's get started. The Norwegian word for a window is et vindu. Et vindu. A door is en dør. En dør. A lamp is en lampe. En lampe. A problem is et problem. Et problem. A finger is en finger. En finger. A glass is et glass. Et glass. The Norwegian word for over is over. Over. The Norwegian word for under is under. Under. A person is en person. En person. A hamburger is en hamburger. En hamburger. Or you can also say burger like you do in English, en burger. En burger. The Norwegian word for pasta is pasta. Pasta. A box in Norwegian is en box. En box. Mascara is a mascara. Mascara. An album is et album. Et album. A condom is en kondom. En kondom. A man is en man. En man. The word for men is men, just with two N's, men. An address in Norwegian is en adresse. En adresse. Acupuncture is akupunktur. Akupunktur. Allergic is allergisk. Allergisk. Antibiotics is antibiotika. Antibiotika. An architect is an architect. An architect. An appetite is an appetit. An appetit. Aromatherapy is aromatherapy. Aromatherapy. Asparagus is an asparagus. An asparagus. Asthma is asthma. Asthma. The Norwegian word for a bakery is et bakeri. Et bakeri. And a battery is et batteri. Et batteri. Broccoli is broccoli. Broccoli. A bus is en bus. En bus. The Norwegian word for diarrhea is diaré. Diaré. A grapefruit is en grapefrukt. En grapefrukt. However, the Norwegian word for grape is en drue. So that's not really similar. En drue. The Norwegian word for here is her. Her. Help is hjelp. Hjelp. A hotel is et hotel. Et hotel. Information is informasjon. Informasjon. Internet is internet. Internet. The Norwegian word for a cafe is en café. En café. The word for cold is kald. Kald. The D there is silent. And the Norwegian word for warm is varm. Varm. A camera is et kamera. et kamera. Caviar is kaviar. Norwegian word for classic is klassisk. Klassisk. A toilet is et toalett. Et toalett. A conference is en konferanse. En konferanse. A concert is en konsert. En konsert. A contact is en kontakt. En kontakt. A copy is en kopi. En kopi. Credit is kreditt. Kreditt. And the Norwegian word for credit card is kredittkort. Kredittkort. To drink is å drikke. Å drikke. Extra is extra. Extra. A crystal is en krystall. En krystall. A number is et nummer. Et nummer. An omelette is en omelett. En omelett. A kiss is et kyss. Et kyss. Long is lang. Lang. Liquor is likør. Likør. A menu is en meny. En meny. A machine is en maskin. En maskin. Milk is melk. Midnight is midnatt. A motorcycle is en motorsykkel. En motorsykkel. Music is musikk. Musikk. National is nasjonal. Nasjonal. To stop is å stoppe. Å stoppe. A soufflé is en soufflé. En soufflé. A nightclub is en nattklubb. En nattklubb. A nectarine is en nektarin. En nektarin. Oysters in Norwegian are østers. Østers. To pack is å pakke. Å pakke. To press is å presse. Å presse. A reaction is en reaksjon. En reaksjon. Romantic is romantisk. Romantisk. There's also celery, which in Norwegian is selleri. Selleri. To send is å sende. Shampoo is shampoo. Shampoo. A supermarket is et supermarked. Et supermarked. The word for sick is syk. Syk. And a synagogue is en synagoge. En synagoge. So you won't find a whole lot of those in Norway. A tourist is en turist. En turist. And yogurt is yoghurt. Yoghurt. Now, one word that's going to be slightly confusing to English speakers is the Norwegian word for a photographer, which is en fotograf. En fotograf, which sounds exactly like the American word for photograph. However, in Norwegian, a photograph is et fotografi. Et fotografi. So last, but certainly not least, is this lesson's bonus word. I shall now be teaching you guys the Norwegian word for lollipop. In Norway, this is called kjærlighet på pinne. Kjærlighet på pinne, which directly translates to love on a stick. Clearly somebody decided it was okay to let a 6-year-old name this one. Thanks for watching!